Hey guys, hey everybody. I know I went on earlier, but I started thinking about this. I need to go on and talk about this while I'm in the middle of dealing with it. Tomorrow we're running off to Nicaragua for the day. Why? Because we have to do our 90-day, not 90-day fiance, our 90-day turnaround to keep staying. Since we don't have all of our residency paperwork together yet, then what we have to do is we have to leave and come back in every 90 days. Sometimes we fly out for a week or two. Sometimes we do the border run to Nicaragua. The beer bug has horribly complicated all of that. Before, it was pretty easy. You just go up to Nicaragua, you go to the Costa Rican little building there, and they stamp your passport showing you're leaving Costa Rica. That's after you pay the Costa Rican exit tax, which the last time I did that, it was $9. $9. So you take your passport, you take your receipt showing that you've paid your exit tax, and you walk. You walk out the gate and you walk about a mile through no man's land, where it's really not Costa Rica or Nicaragua. It's kind of an exchange point, I guess you'd say. During the beer bug, when they were not letting people cross the border at all, they were sprung up in Tent City in that weird little strip, that no man's land. That was a pretty interesting thing. The first time we did this, it was way different than now. They've improved things tremendously, but I haven't done this. Oh, wow. When was the last time I did it? I did it in early or mid March for the last time, right before the border closed, because I wanted to keep my driver's license valid. And Costa Rica had a law at that time where your driver's license only is valid as the stamp in your passport. So if your passport did not have that 90 days and at the moment, then you weren't allowed. There was like a 2-week span there when they suspended all air travel in and out and everything and just allowed us to stay and extended all of our visas. But they didn't extend everybody's driver's licenses. So I went and did the driver's license thing. The very first time we did this, it was very, very, very different than it is now. It was the Costa Rican sign. It's just a government building. Off to the side, there's like a little grocery store. You have those wherever you go. These mini supers are everywhere. And right next to that is a little booth that you have to go to pay your exit tax, your $9 exit tax. Now, she'll take colones, she'll take dollars, she'll take credit cards, the lady working in there, and exchange your money, you go. Then you do that walk, like I said, the mile-long march. Used to be that was the scariest thing in the world. The first time I went through there, I got stopped and searched by Nicaraguan forces. They all had AK-47s on their back, the scary-looking guys. And we got searched quite a bit the first time we went through. And we were taking a vacation in Nicaragua. We had both been here I'd been here 2 months, and my husband had been here like 4 months at that point, or 3 months. So in those days, it was scary. You're walking the scary pitted sidewalk. Now they've paved that. It looks beautiful. You'd walk up to this building, the picture of which is the picture on the front of this live stream. It's a picture of the front of the building that you go to in Nicaragua to enter and exit. It was an old beat-up government building at the time. Now they have a fancy new one, but it's about another mile down the street. So while you're doing this, you have to be prepared to say, no gracias, no gracias, no gracias, about 50,000 times, because people will come up to sell you things. People will come up on both sides to try and get you to take their bike taxi where you sit in the front and they sit in the back and pedal. You're going to have people that are come up to you from the moment you park, because we drive up and park. We park our car on the Costa side. They're going to come to you and say, hey, let me steer you through quickly. They want $80 to do that. So there's a lot of people who I would call the Gringo Shuffle types trying to get as much dough from you as they can. It's really not worth it because you're not doing anything earth-shattering, and they're not going to be able to get you through. So now they have this lovely, lovely building. You go in there. You pay $1 right up front to the guy at the gate, the door, because they make you pay $1 per person as you're walking into the building to walk into the building. So it's a walk into the building tax. Then you go up to, now there's a lady sitting there behind the glass, or a gentleman, a line of cubicles, and they ask you why you're coming to Nicaragua, how long do you think you're going to be there, all that stuff. And then you pay them, I think it's $14 a head. They stamp your passport, stamp, 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 and they send you on your merry way. And you go out, and I guess this is a beautiful building, because we're just doing the turnaround. We go out the beautiful building, we come right back in. I might see if I can get my husband to go with me to look at some of the, what do they call those things? The duty-free shops. I'm going to do that tomorrow. Waste a little time before we turn around and go right back. Go through Nicaragua, you pay them, I think it's a $7 exit fee. They stamp your passport again. You walk that no man's zone again. And also there's trucks everywhere. There's 18-wheelers. One day I'm going to have to post all these pictures where we can see it. So you're dodging the 18-wheelers while you're doing this too. So Lisa, it is a little tricky. It's a little scary if you're not used to it. The first time I did it, I was frightened out of my gourd. Now it's kind of like old hat. I've done it so many times. And then you walk into the Costa Rican building eventually after you get past the no man's land. You walk in there and you have to show them that you intend to leave within 90 days, that you have a plane ticket out. Used to be they would take Tika bus tickets. I'd walk in there with an open-ended Tika bus ticket, and they take that. But now they don't. They don't take Tika or Nika bus tickets showing that you're coming out. They want to see you're going to fly out if you're an American. There's this wonderful service called Best Onward Ticket. For $12, you can rent an airline ticket, a valid airline ticket for 2 days to get around that. Everybody I know uses that. This time, we're not using that at all. What we're going to do is, my husband's flying out within the month. I'm going to go see my daughter for her birthday in July. So we actually have tickets. We're going to know the real plane tickets this time instead of our faux rented ones. So there's that. Realification. Hey, so the other thing, I'm kind of curious, half curious and half maybe worried, maybe not worried, maybe concerned would be better than worried, how this is all going to go, because now the Ministry de Salud, the health department, makes you fill out an online health pass that you have to have, and you have to have the QR code for it. You have to have one of those QR code scanners on your phone, and that issues you your own QR code. So you go up there with your plane ticket and with your QR code showing that, yes, you have your health insurance that they're demanding you have, and yes, you have filled out and passed your health thing. Oh, and to go to Nicaragua, I forgot to mention this, they're now requiring COVID tests. They're requiring the PCR test. They're not allowing you to come trotting on through with the cheaper, what do they call that test? Antigen test. The U.S. now takes an antigen test. It's only $50. You can get it at the airport even before your flight. Hey, Noel. $12 rented tickets. Yeah. I am sure, Lisa, they make a ton of money off of that. It's an ingenious scheme, I think. And it saves us from actually having to buy that ticket right then, because we will just in 90 days do the Nicaraguan turnaround. So they're requiring, Nicaragua wants you to have a valid COVID test now. So we did that yesterday. We already have our results back showing we're both COVID free. I'm going to fill out our Ministry de Salud pass, the health pass, very shortly, and get our QR codes and do the insurance. And I have to buy a plane ticket for myself to see my daughter in July. Now, if all of that goes smoothly and it goes well, then they'll ask you, how long are you staying in Costa Rica? And then they will put the amount of time you're staying. We have made the decision that this time, the rapid test, yes, you cannot do the rapid test. You can't do the rapid test for Nicaragua, just for the U.S. Hey, Cheryl. So they're only taking the one that takes time. It took 24 hours for me to get mine back, but I don't think they're going to take it long. If you're vaccinated, if you're fully vaccinated, you don't really need to worry about bringing your tests, getting the test run or anything. And most of these places are taking your little card showing that you've been vaccinated. Because of the lack of vaccines here, we're both getting vaccinated this summer when we go back to the US. There are a ton of videos on YouTube explaining how to go about going to the US if you're a Costa Rican citizen and you're waiting for your thing to just go to the US, go to Texas, go to Idaho, Indiana, DC. There's a number of places where you can just waltz right in with your passport and not even be a citizen, and they'll give you that injection. It's becoming a big thing with Costa Ricans, and it's driven up airline prices here very badly. I'm having to pay way too much for my ticket in July, but I don't have a lot of. Noel, I am going to get the Johnson and Johnson. I've talked to my doctor in the States a bunch of times. For me, I think will be the safest one. The other thing is, my husband and I, we're not staying very long in the States. We never go for more than a week. He and I are both getting the Johnson and Johnson. He needs it. He keeps saying, I don't know. And he's running around talking to everybody who has it. And are you going to jump up there, Cat? There's nothing up there for you. Cats, you can't. Yeah, I've heard good things about the J&J having less side effects, people having less. Now you have a lower immunity, I guess you'd say, getting the Johnson and Johnson. But for me and for him, since we're only going to be there for a week, get it and be on our way, and we'll be done with it. Hopefully at that point, we'll never have to buy another one of the tests where they spear your brain with a Q-tip through your nose. Noel, I went back and forth. I really did, especially since I have immune system disorders. And right now, I'm sweating this thing tomorrow because I got to tell you, I got 101 temperature and I'm coughing. My asthma has morphed into some kind of lung infection. I've got to get to the doctor tomorrow and see if they'll give me an injection of steroids and an antibiotic in the morning, so that if I take enough Tylenol and I trot through there in the afternoons and they run the scanner on my forehead to see if I don't have a temp, I don't pop a temp, because that could just mess with this whole thing. So we're kind of sweating pins and needles. As it is, we're like 3 or 4 days past our time we were supposed to do the turnaround. But one of the things that I've learned in Costa Rica that's actually a good thing about Costa Rica, they tend not to be very punctual. We always laugh about Tico time. Tico time is a real freaking thing. Tico time is. And example, we're trying to set our friend Robert up with the guy who put it in our pool, Alejandro. Alejandro does excellent work. He's not the best about calling or showing up when you want him to, though. He was great when he put it in the pool. He showed up, he did it, but I get $30,000 was on the line too. So I'm trying to put him together with Robert so he can build one for Robert. So far, this has been a cat and mouse game with Tico time. And I know that's what's going on. He's just thinking, oh, blah, blah, blah. Sooner or later. You get real used to that if you've been here a while. You just know that anytime you call somebody for something like that, it may take them a couple of days to get back to you. If you got somebody coming out to do some work for you, you know it may be a couple more days before they actually just show up. And you just say, okay, well, you show up when you can do it. Now, well, that's what I'm a little afraid of. If they don't let us back in, I don't know what we'll do. I guess at that point we would hop a chicken bus to Managua and get on a flight back to Costa Rica. I think they're going to let us back in. My husband is like 2.5 weeks before he leaves for the States, and I have like 6 weeks. So we're not going to come anywhere that 90-day. And then when we both get back, we'll do the 90-day thing, and I will have our tickets already bought for our fall trip to the States, because we always go in the fall. Oh, Noel, that's exactly what I'm doing, except here, the Tylenol is called Panadol, and it's just as good. Chicken bus. Yes, realification. Let me explain about the chicken buses, because if you're ever going to Nicaragua, and there's a lot of wonderful things to see in Nicaragua, there's just a lot of unrest with their militia and their government. So we don't go as often as we did because of that. But the border at Pinas Blancas, I know Pinas Blancas, who named that? Um, the chicken buses are lined up there in a row to take you wherever you're going. Okay, they're old American school buses that have been rebuilt and painted a rainbow of colors. I mean, hot pinks, lime greens, blues, oranges, painted so many crazy colors, and sometimes with designs on them like chickens. I don't know why they're called the chicken bus, but that's exactly what they are. But guess what? They're super cheap. For like $1. You can go into town. And what I mean by go into town is the nearest really big city to Pinas Blancas is San Juan del Sur. It's a huge surfer thing, and it's where they filmed that show Survivor. They filmed 2 or 3 of the seasons in San Juan del Sur, huge surfing town. Hotel, hotel, hotel. The one time that we went and we stayed, we took a beach vacation. We went to San Juan del Sur thinking our hotel was there. Turned out our hotel was on the beach, about a 40-minute ride from San Juan del Sur. We got there in the middle of the night, started dickering with the taxi driver, because you got to do that with Nicaragua. You got to agree before you ever get into the taxi. Noel, they can be and they can't be. If you're looking at American gated neighborhoods, they're going to be expensive. If you're open to not living in an HOA, you can get something very reasonable here. Very reasonable. Or you could always spend $10,000 and buy a lot, spend $25,000 and have them bring you the 2-bedroom concreto house that most Ticos live in, which is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with those little houses like that. Shoot, that'd be an option for me. We were actually talking about building a mountain house at one time, and I told my husband it's got to be small. It's got to be small. It's got to be brand spanking new. Noel, yes and no. I'm not actually I'm in a neighborhood. It's an international neighborhood. There are people here from everywhere. We have a lot of Ticos here. They're everything from our house, which is large and gated, and there's some other ones like that here, to the little Tico houses I was just talking about, the little $25,000 concretos. So there's a lot of that. You've got a lot of mixed stuff all throughout there. And yes, we do have somebody that is the guard of the neighborhood. I used to freak out being worried that somebody would jump the fence here, even though it's 12 foot high. I started looking, and the only place you can really get to our fence to jump it is right next to the house. And if you do that, you pretty much behead yourself, because the way the roof goes and goes right into it, you'd have to be super skinny and you'd probably pop your head off. So no, I'm not worried about that. I just don't think that I don't think it's the thing, because most Costa Ricans are very nice people. You're going to find they are wonderful. The people are wonderful. They'll help you as much as they can. Now, there's a lot of petty thievery, which is why all of our televisions, as you can see back here, are in cabinets, because we shut them and lock them. No, well, I took a Spanish class before I moved to university level 1, and it was next to useless. I didn't pick up anything, but I'm terrible at language, and my husband is wonderful. One of the things that I found the most helpful is to watch television shows I'm interested in, like Law and Order, SVU, and I'm watching it in English, but I have the Spanish subtitles on. That is very helpful. I picked up a lot of words that way, and I can navigate. I can't hold a long conversation in Spanish, but I can navigate. I can ask where I'm going. I can shop. I can tell the doctor what I need. I can do those basic things. You don't really need Spanish here because a lot of people speak English, but it is helpful to have a few little words. We have a big grocery chain that is probably 3 or 4 blocks from us. We go in there all the time. There's nobody in there speaks a word of English, but it's interesting because they always want to know your opinion on things. Like, When the election happened, people were chasing us down. When January 6th happened, I had regulars there chasing me down, asking me what my thoughts were on that. They were concerned. They really look up to the U.S. as a shining city on the hill, and they want everything to be awesome and good. And I don't blame them. They're concerned. The USA is where the majority of their tourist business comes from. And you got the U.S. right now saying don't go to Costa Rica because the infection rates are high. I don't think it's stopping anybody that I can see, but we're in what you call low season, not high season for tourism. So very few people are coming. Yet instead of having very reasonable plane tickets like usual, because everybody is going there to get their injections that they're waiting on forever, here it's run the prices of the flights up. Plus, not all of the airlines have come back. Southwest no longer services Liberia. They're talking about doing it again soon, but they're not there as of right now. If you're going to fly to Liberia, your only options are going to be Delta, American, and United. Those are the only 3 American carriers that are currently going through there right now, which also makes a difference in the ticket price. I like the fact we're only 3-hour plane ride from the States. There we are. And another hour and a half, 2 hours up to DC, where we were from. Yeah, Noel, a lot of the other countries around here too are really wonderful places to live. I tried to get my husband to look at Belize. Belize is small and it's on the Caribbean, but they use dólares, and everybody speaks English. So it's a really good option if you're looking to relocate and you don't want to learn Spanish. You don't want to have to deal with that. Belize is a pretty good place. Know people that are going to Uruguay. They're saying Uruguay also has some big advantages. I know that Colombia has cleaned up a lot of their drug acts and violence and has built all kinds of new construction, trying to lure the American retiree with their pension down there. So there are bargains to be had. So what did you think, Kentucky? I'm curious. I couldn't get my husband to consider Belize. And it looks so beautiful. I was disappointed with Belize. Looking at it was because the prices of housing were not real good. And I've learned not to ask my husband's opinion on those things because he told me, oh, we'll be able to get a house here for $200 a month. And I'm like, I don't think that's happening. Now, you can do that. It is possible. But you're going to be living someplace like Copa de Dota up in the mountains, this Central Valley. You're going to be living someplace in the middle of nowhere. But it can be done if that's how much money if your budget is limited like that. There are places here that fall within that range. Kentucky girl, it's a problem. Costa Rica has world-class medicine, private medicine, and that's not a problem. You can usually get treatment here for almost everything. I know people that do medical tourism coming down to Costa Rica is a big thing, particularly with the dentist, the guy I'm putting off. I've got to go see. Yeah, everything is way cheaper here as far as that goes. I've said before, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to scream this again to anybody listening. This is 2 weeks worth of RIca. In the States without insurance, this is about $400. Here, without insurance, you're looking at $40, $40, $50, depending upon what's going on with the colones against dollars, the exchange rate, whatever the exchange rate is. And we have 2 accounts. We have a dollar account. We have a colones account. And sometimes we'll move money back and forth with no risks. So that's one reason why we did that. We wanted to have both just to be on the safe side and have them all linked together. The other thing here is they are so security conscious because they've had so many drug lords trying to come here and launder their money. Is if you go to buy a house or open a bank account or anything, you're going to have to prove who you are. You're going to have to show them a couple of years of bank statements, your IRS filings, all of that to prove to them that that money did not come from drug deals. It came from hard work and graft. It came from your mother leaving you money. It came from all sorts of things. We went through that when we first got here, but we finally got established, and now it's no problem at all to move money back and forth between the states and us. You stayed wet the whole time. Yeah, I can see that. If I lived in Belize, I would probably be in my swimsuit 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I do go around without him, and I go shopping. I go walk the beach. I do all kinds of stuff, and I don't feel unsafe. There's only a couple times I can honestly say I felt unsafe. One of those times was I'd gone somewhere and uh, I got off the bus by myself at 10:30 at night, waiting for a taxi, and it took a little while to get a taxi. So I'm sitting there. So right after I got there, I felt a little weird about that, but the whole town had shut down at midnight. Oh, well, before midnight, like about 7 or 8. So I just had to wait for a taxi, but I felt nervous then. The only other time that I felt worried and nervous here is the first time we went to Nicaragua. That's why I started talking about the Nicaragua visa thing, because the first time we did it, I was freaking out of my mind because they had armed soldiers with AK-47s every so many yards. They'd go through your stuff, they'd look at your passport, and they could stop you at any point. So they were a lot stricter back then. Now it's kind of like, hello, gringo, come on in. So it's a little bit different. Humidity. A lot of humidity. We're in a really humid time now. As you can see, I am in my bedroom. I did straighten my pictures that were all mangled from the earthquake last night. But it's very humid. On very humid days, I tend to stay in and don't do a whole lot. I'll go out to the pool for a while, but if it's super humid, I'm inside. And the nice thing about Guanacaste is it is a desert. So you're going to have a lot less humid days, even during the rainy season here, than you'll have anywhere else in the country. They tell me Limon, which is on the Caribbean side, where they have this law sanctuary that everybody sees, has rain every day of the year. Every single day, there's at least one rain shower going on in that area. So that for us was a deciding factor to come here to Guanacaste. It's dry half the year here. We have a desert heat. It's kind of, I guess you'd call it comparable to the Southwest states of the United States. It's nice and dry. I have one. I use it sometimes, but most of the time I'll just run the AC. My new AC for my bedroom that they put in last year, it has a lot of different modes to it. One of the modes is a dehumidifier mode. So here in the bedroom, no, I just turn that on dehumidifier mode and let it do its thing. But I know a lot of other people here who do have dehumidifiers who aren't running their AC much. So if you're not running your AC much, you're going to have to almost run a dehumidifier during rainy season, or it's going to get really sticky and gross. And my husband can tell you, I don't do sticky and gross. I may have been raised in South Louisiana, but I do not like that. I do not like that at all. Realification, we didn't mean for it to be fancy. They just brought the fancy one out when they changed it out. And the guy who did it was fabulous. Sticky and gross, you were right, Kentucky girl. My husband is never bothered by that. Never. He'll run around outside all the time. He doesn't care if he's getting sticky or humid or whatever. Now, yesterday we went to Playa Grande for the first time in a long time. We hadn't been back to the beach because of the COVID restrictions. And the beach isn't open all day and all night. It's only open certain times now because of that. And we just had a lot of stuff going on. Just never had the time to do it. So we did it yesterday, and he got sunburned. He's out in the sun all the time. So it was kind of an interesting experience. I know you have to run one down in the South. I know. When I was growing up in Louisiana, I always tell people I grew up in South Louisiana before air conditioning. We got air conditioning when I was 12, which dates me as pretty old, I know, but there are ways to deal with it. I mean, we would open all the windows in the house facing the Mississippi River at nighttime, turn on all the overhead fans, and take a lukewarm bath, dust down with baby powder. And I don't ever remember being that hot as a kid, but I know damn good and well I must have been. But that was how we dealt with it when I was young. Everybody had fans. You had overheads, or you had the oscillating ones, or you had both of them. Here, you'll see a lot of people have fans too. So there's that. um, what else I need to talk about with Nicaragua? Box fans. Yeah, we used to use those too a lot. Oh, I know what. Do not buy food at the Nicaragua station there. They have people that are lined up that have their cookers, their barbecue and meat. They've got little pastries. The pastries are hard as rocks. And I've seen what happens when the bus rolls by. Once the bus is gone, they take that meat off the grill and stick it back in a plastic bin with no refrigeration. So I always tell people, yeah, it looks good, smells good, avoid it. So there's that. So it's going to be interesting tomorrow. I'm probably going to take a lot of pictures, maybe do some videos and stuff, because like I said, this is the first time we've had to do this in well over a year. They're usually pretty good about having pork or chicken. Pork and chicken are big here. Beef, cattle, not quite as much. There are some I've never seen a bad butcher shop here. The excellent butcher shops I've gone into where they have all kinds of different meats you can get. Most of the places, though, around here, they have Nicaraguan fed cattle, they have Nicaraguan cattle. One of Nicaragua's big exports is cattle. And here's the nice thing, if you buy Nicaraguan beef, it's not treated with chemicals, no growth hormones, none of that. They're not doing any of that. You know that the cows were out there eating the grass. So we're talking grass-fed meat. We've eaten a lot of steaks since we got here because of that. Steaks that we've ended up buying from a butcher called San Martin's, which is over by the Liberia airport, that has everything. And it's all Nicaraguan grass-fed meat. It's all USDA inspected, which goes a long, long way here. Real vacation, you didn't have air conditioning when you were a kid either? I know what that's like. Yeah, you really have to be careful where you get your meat from. Here, even the local little butchers, I've observed how they do things, and it's actually pretty sanitary. Here, I've eaten a lot of meals off of trucks, like somebody has given out gallo pinto and chicken plancha out of the back of their car. I've gotten ceviche, and it's been good. But you can tell the people who are cooking this stuff up, and they're selling it. They may be selling out of their car, but they're taking every care you can imagine. You're a little younger than me then, so you still remember that. Um, yeah, it's funny. I don't know about you, Real, but for me, it is funny how much everything has changed. I was thinking about that earlier today. We've gotten to the point where so many things that I thought as a kid or things that were really important don't even exist anymore. Those were the days, I guess. And I'm kind of glad to be living in more modern times, because I don't think I could have kept my mouth shut in some of the older times. I would have gotten into major, major trouble. I always was a contrarian. I'll probably die a contrarian. Okay, I'm going to go. I got to get online and do my things so I can go tomorrow. You guys have a good evening.